Have you ever noticed that almost all languages share something with Arabic? The most famous example for that is the word sukkar, sugar. And as you can see, this word exists almost identically in so many languages that come from different families and even ages. And they all sound similar, one way or another. But this could just be explained by the fact that languages borrow words from one another, right? Borrowing words happen with trading, intermingling, and this kind of interaction. So sugar, sukkar, being a commodity, makes it very likely that it is just a borrowed word and nothing more. However, while languages do indeed borrow words from one another, when we say borrowed words, we think maybe 1, 2, or even a dozen words were borrowed from another language. But what if I told you that around 75% of Latin verb roots have Arabic origins, and 80% of Anglo-Saxon verbs also come from Arabic origins? Now, with this information, would you still think that it is just a matter of borrowed words? And if you think that this is impossible or unbelievable, then let us consider these examples. We'll first compare Arabic roots to their approximate translation in Latin. And I want you to try and compare the Arabic words to their Latin counterparts in terms of how similar they sound. We can clearly see the similarities between what the Arabic words sound like and what these Latin words sound like. But it's even more interesting if we compare Arabic roots to Anglo-Saxon words. And here we can also see the undeniable similarities between how the Arabic words sound and what the Anglo-Saxon words sound like. And since English is a Germanic language, it won't be surprising to find dozens and dozens of examples that show you how similar the English words are compared to Arabic roots. So we have tal, tall, qal, call, tala, tell, habba, hop, rusgh, wrist, badan, body, hara'a, hurry. While there are still differences, of course, between the two, we cannot deny that there are so many similarities between each of these words that mean the same thing or have very close meaning to one another. And so, with this number of similarities, we are not talking about borrowing a word or two. We're actually talking about languages having the same origin or coming from the same family. But then the logical question would be, why would Arabic be the origin? Why couldn't Latin be the origin, or Anglo-Saxon, and then the other two would come from it? Well, let us consider these numbers which put things into perspective. Arabic has 16,505 roots. Latin has 800 roots. Anglo-Saxon has 2,140 roots. And in case you didn't know what a root is, it is the simplest form of a verb, from which other words can be derived. And so, the straightforward answer would then be that the richer language would then be the origin, the donor, while the poorer language would be the branch. That's why the branch of a tree can never be thicker than the trunk itself. So, a quick comparison between the word tala and tall, which are similar in meaning and sound. Tall can be derived into taller, tallest, and that's it. But in Arabic, tala can be derived into yatul, ta'il, ta'ila, tawil, ذو الطول, mustatil, istatala, yutal, and I can keep going. Another two similar words are good and jayyid. Good can't even become gooder. It has to be better. But jayyid is ajada, yujidu, yajudu. You get the idea. So it is not surprising to then know that lion in Arabic has 29 different names, and camel has more than 50 different words in Arabic, which all then show how rich the origin can be. And now you might be thinking, this is just impossible. And then I just picked and chose the similar examples that help me make my point. There must be hundreds, if not thousands of words that are just simply entirely different from any Arabic roots or words. And here I would say, it is true that there are many words that are just simply too dissimilar. And I did choose examples that highlight the similarities. But at the same time, it is very important to understand that languages do change over time, and that these changes all come from somewhere, giving us the product or the end result we have now. Let's take the word harbor as an example. In Arabic, harbor means mina or malja, so it is completely different from the Arabic version. You would then think they are completely unrelated, they have nothing to do with one another. However, when we dig deeper and check the Anglo-Saxon or the Germanic origin of this word, we'll find that the word harbor came from this word, Heerbeorg, and this word itself, in turn, developed from Hunenberg. And at this point, you can already hear and see how similar it sounds to the Arabic phrase Huna Burj, Hunenberg. But that is not Mina, is it? Well, historically speaking, the English built towers near the shores to warn and protect themselves against the raids coming from the north, the Vikings. And through time, these towers were used to guide ships to the shore, becoming harbors. So that's why the concept of towers near the shores turned into becoming the word for harbor that we know today. So while it is not the exact word, it is still coming from an Arabic origin that suited their use and had its own journey in development until the version we have it today. And if you think that it is impossible that Arabic would be related to Latin or Germanic languages, since it even has a right to left system, while these other languages are all left to right, and other languages are even top to bottom. So this can't be right. Well, this is certainly true that Arabic is indeed different from that perspective. But we must differentiate between two things: language and writing. Language is the means of communication, while writing is the visual representation of a language using symbols and characters. So it is very likely that Arabic in very ancient times looked different than what we see and recognize today. I mean, we have seen changes like these in modern history, like what had happened to the Turkish language. Turkish used to be written using the Arabic letters, and from right to left. This is the front page for an official newspaper in Turkey not so long ago. And today, the very same language is written from left to right using Roman letters. And if we even go deeper in history to the old Turkic script, we'll see completely different, unfamiliar system of writing. So, writing and language can develop separately and not necessarily at the same time. This also goes to show how important it is that the Quran is purely an audiobook, which is passed down from generation to generation without the need to write it down, which means that it will remain intact and unchanged even if all books disappeared and the entire writing system had changed. The Quran will be able to withstand all of this. So now, according to this theory, does that mean that Arabic was the very first language? Did Adam alayhi salam speak Arabic? Well, one thing is certain, which is that we can never know with certainty which language Adam alayhi salam spoke, simply because this is part of the unseen, al-ghaib, and we don't have any authentic wahi that can tell us with certainty which language he spoke. Some say that he did speak a form of Arabic from which the current Arabic came. They called it al-Arubiyya. Some say he spoke Syriac, and some even called Syriac the old form of Arabic. Others say that when Allah said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, and Allah taught Adam the names, all of them. So for them, according to this ayah, Adam was taught the basis for all source languages, which then branched out to the languages we have today, which could also explain the similarities between different languages coming from the same source. But we also know that the first names of people to ever exist were Adam, Hawa, Qabil, Habil, Sheeth. And all of these names sound Arabic and have unique Arabic sounds, which we use today in Arabic and exist till this very day. So what we do know for sure is that Arabic is a very old language, and that it has a huge influence on almost every language today, one way or another, whether because they came from the same source, or because Arabic itself is the main source, or if there is another reason. All these are just theories, and there are many different theories on how languages develop over time. But I chose to highlight this theory specifically because of the good evidence it provides, and I also thought that it can help you as a learner really appreciate the Arabic language, its history, and its undeniable importance. So if you're not yet sure whether you should start your journey learning it, then this might be yet another reason to learn this language, which will certainly help you connect more with the Quran and your deen in general. If you're interested to learn more about this topic and the theory I discussed here, or if you want to check the sources I used in preparing this lesson, then I highly recommend checking out this book, which I left for you in the description. This book is essentially a very valuable 10-year research study that explains every single aspect and answers every question that you might have on that topic. Thanks for watching. If you want to start learning the Tajweed, then start with this playlist. And also, don't forget to check my latest book about Tajweed and download the companion app. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.